art is for a privileged few, but those few have earned their privilege and deny it to no one. Would you agree with that statement?
Well,
Could you comment on it?
It's a rather complicated statement. I really do believe that art is accessible to anyone. It may not. I don't think that artists really think very much about their audience. I think that the attempt to translate some internal or interior state into an exterior one is more than enough for anyone to handle. The audience is basically the problem of the museum, of the curator, of the interpreter. When I've written or when I've done shows in order to best show the art and to I've tried to organize an exhibition in terms of what the art itself dictated. But when I write for a general, well-educated public, that is, an interested public. And you also have to take into consideration the fact that, for example, if you think about Van Gogh's life and the incredible hardships he underwent. And then you consider that reproductions of the sunflowers are hanging in almost every gas station in America. There's a kind of ironic comment on the fact that art is, in fact, for everyone, but that sometimes there's an enormous discrepancy in an enormous time lag, I'm trying to say. If art really is... If art constitutes a new visual vocabulary, I don't think that one can expect everyone to learn that language immediately. It takes a little bit of time. But I do think the language is accessible to everyone.
In selecting works that you show, you have to make critical judgments. But on the other hand, I get a sense from you that you felt an obligation to show what's being done.
No, I don't think it's quite to show what's being done with no sense of discrimination at all. I'm not interested in exhibitions that isolate trends or that focus on the similarities between works of art. I'm interested in the differences between them. And I come from a very rigid art historical background. I was a student at the Institute. I studied with the Institute of Fine Arts in New York. And I studied with Panofsky and von Blankenhagen, and I was a student. It was Robert Goldwater who was my advisor. So that I feel that as a curator of contemporary art, I'm making judgments that are based on a very, on years of art history and on years of teaching. Now, that doesn't mean that I try to do exactly the same things. What I try to do as a contemporary curator is to establish or to build a very broad base from which to make my decisions. And that's why I travel, and that's why I go to so many studios. The broader the base, the more one can hope that one's selections, if not accurate, are at least representative in some way of what's actually going on. But I'm not trying to, I'm not keeping score. I try to show works of art that I believe need a wider audience and deserve a wider audience. And art history will do what it will do after that. I think it's not, one tries not to be terribly self-conscious, but to be really serious about it. That is, if you have to back up everything you do by a critical or scholarly essay, you think for many years about what you're going to do and why you want to do it.
An interesting reflection on the situation you're in was in the last statement you made in the interview with you in the Soho Weekly News. Can you remember exactly what that was?
Well, I just said that if you're going to be fired, it's great to be fired for something that you believe in.
We've been talking with Marcia Tucker at her loft in Little Italy. Thank you for joining us. This is Bruce Kurtz for Paul Tschinkel's Artifacts. We hope you'll join us for our next program.